Today we're going to go through a beginner's video for people getting into PVM. These are going to be some of the most useful skills that you should focus on picking up if you are a beginner to PVM, and these will make a big difference to your gameplay. But guys, please keep in mind that this is for beginners. So if you are looking at this going, and I know all of these are so easy, that's because you're not a beginner anymore. But I still need to make videos for beginners too. So let's get started. Okay, so one of the most important skills that I think is super important to learn as a beginner PVMer is being able to judge when and when you're not ready for a certain boss and not trying to progress too quickly. Progressing too quickly or taking steps that you're not quite ready for yet can actually put a massive wall on your account and your progress and end up wasting you tons of time. I know, because I did this. I was trying to take on Telos when I was absolutely not ready. I spent hundreds of millions of GP back in the day on my Ring of Death trying to get through kills, thinking if I just get through the kill, I might get a big drop, like I might get the Dormant Staff of Sliske when that was 1 billion GP, and then I'll be rich. And this was a massive mistake. I should have been starting on way lower things, learning all the different things that those bosses have to offer, and things would have been a lot better. Now, what I mean by this is each boss on this list offers you something different. And starting no matter where you are on this list, you can work your way up this ladder, and it's important to do that. Not necessarily just for making money, but also for learning different things. For example, the Dagonoth Kings doesn't really offer too much other than maybe prayer flicking, not prayer flicking, but changing and acknowledging the right combat style that you're in and the prayer style that you're in and stuff like that. Then you have all of the God Wars Dungeon 1 bosses, which will possibly teach you things like, you know, how to DPS rotation at certain places, because you don't have to worry about too many things. You just can kind of focus on your sunshine rotations, death swiftness rotations, that sort of thing. Then when you start moving up to the God Wars Dungeon 2, so Hellware, Vindicta, all this sort of stuff, they teach you different mechanics. There's like 2 or 3 mechanics per fight that you're actually going to have to learn and focus on before they kill you. We will teach you a lot of things, using your defensives, positioning, timings, all of these sort of things. And gradually as you move up this list, not necessarily in the order that the list is, because, you know, they don't release in that way, you learn loads of different things that'll help you through other bosses. Trying to jump up to something like Raziel, just because maybe you've just finished your necromancy line and you've got to the quest and you want to just farm Raziel for money now because he has expensive drops, is not necessarily the right move to do. You want to work your way up and practice other bosses first, and go to the Arc Glacier as much as you might not want to, and learn the mechanics here, do all of the ones in normal mode first, then move up to hard mode and push your enrage up, all of this sort of stuff. And work on it that way. Treat it as a ladder. You start down the bottom and then you work your way up. And if you try and skip like 4 or 5 steps, there's a good chance that it's not going to work. Imagine if you got on a ladder, you got to the 4th step, and then you were trying to get to the 7th step without touching the other ones. It's just not going to work. It's going to be hard. You're going to be struggling to reach that, right? So focus on like where you're actually at in terms of your character, what items you have, what gear you have, what skills you as a player have as well, in terms of like, can I use my defensives efficiently, which is going to be our next point soon. Am I good at doing DPS? Do I need to practice that first? Which boss is going to help me with that? Is there unlocks I need to get? Is there quests I need to complete? Many other things as well. But don't do what I did. Don't throw yourself at Telos because it has a really good drop, or don't throw yourself at like Raziel or Rakshia because you want that 1 billion GP drop when you're not ready to do it, because you'll waste a lot of GP, a lot of supplies, a lot of time. Getting 15-minute Telos kills is what I did for about 6 months of the game, and it nearly made me quit the game. This is before I started YouTube. I hated it. It was a massive mistake. It was the most frustrating waste of time, and now I've learned the hard way. One of the next most important skills that you can learn is learning your defense abilities and what they do. I've mentioned this before, and the amount of people that once they've gone and done this have like messaged me or commented on the videos and said this has made a world of difference. Trust me, this makes a world of difference. Now what I mean is you have your defense abilities right down here in your defense tab, and you should really focus a lot on how these work and what they do. So all your defense abilities are going to be valuable for all combat styles, not just for one. I don't want to hide this behind my camera. Not just for the one. And they all do very different things as well. And they're all useful and valuable. So knowing how they work and knowing when to use them and what situations you can actually use them in is very important. But you can't really learn exactly what situation to use them in unless you understand what they do overall. So what I would start by doing is just sitting here and reading through what these abilities do. Devotion. This is going to increase the effectiveness of your protection prayers to 100% for 9.6 seconds. And if I kill an enemy, it extends the duration by 4.8 seconds up to a maximum of 19. I can have a 19-second devotion. How many of you guys they're watching right now in the comments knew that you can extend devotion to 19.2 seconds? Most of you guys that have been PVM for a while will. Beginners, the amount of people when I do this in stream, they're like, what? You can kill something and it makes the duration longer? They didn't know this because you didn't read through it. You know that devotion, when you use it, like, it makes my protection prayers 100%. I can block all the damage. Well, all of the extras that you learn here as well is very important too. So make sure you read through these and understand what they do. These don't matter. Don't worry about these. If they're locked on my thing, they're not important. Then there's Anticipate here, which reduces all the damage taken by 10%, but it also gives you immunity to stuns. So a lot of people might think it just makes you immune to stuns, but the 10% damage reduction is still nice if you need it in some places. But knowing and understanding what they all do is the first step to actually being able to then think in the middle of a fight, right, this thing keeps killing me, or this is really difficult for me to do. Oh wait, I can use this defensive ability like Reflect or something, or I can use Devotion to be able to block that damage and make that part of the fight way easier, and you can start reacting and responding to how to actually do the bosses. It will make your life way easier if you understand how to use your abilities, what they do, and how they can save you and change a fight around. Knowing your defense abilities inside out, in my opinion, is probably one of the most important things that you can learn for PVM. So take some time, sit and read through them, and then slowly start applying them to your PVM and your boss fights whenever you think, wait, I take a big hit here, I can use Reflect to reduce that big hit, but it'll also put some of the damage back to the attacker, which is crazy. And this lasts for 9.6 seconds, so I can keep it on, and I can reduce the damage I'm taking. You'll start applying them and knowing where to put them into the fights and make your life a lot easier. I just wanted to interrupt real quick to remind you guys to click the sub button, because over 60% of you guys that are watching all the videos actually aren't sub. Many of you think that you are, but haven't clicked it just yet. You watch all the videos, YouTube still shows you it, but you haven't clicked the sub button yet, and it'll actually help the channel out an absolute ton. So please do give it a click, and let's get back to the video. Okay, so let's talk about this one again. We've talked about this before in other videos. I've actually made a specific video on this as well, so I will link that in the description if I remember. If I don't, someone will call me out. It's all good, and then I'll add it on. And that is building a preset correctly. Being prepared for a boss before you go in to take on a boss in terms of inventory, worn equipment, and all that sort of stuff. Now, this isn't the same as the first one where I'm saying if your character's not ready, focus on doing other things first. If you are ready for a boss and you're going to do even the Arc Glacier or Vindicta or anything like that, you want to make sure that your inventory is set up correctly and not kind of like this. Get my old my overload potion, whatever version you have, get some food, off I go. This you can change this and it will make a world of difference with even just a few things that you can buy from the Grand Exchange with no requirements to unlock them. And then of course, if there's anything you have unlocked, bringing those along too, going to be a world of difference. For example, getting things like a vulnerability bomb, which I should have somewhere, but I'm blind there. This will add immediately just 10% extra damage to the target that you throw it on. This lasts for a minute. It says it lasts 1.8 seconds. That's just the area on the ground. It's not actually the potion, the bomb. I know when I first saw this, I was like, what the frick? But it's a minute of 10% extra damage. Very little effort. You can get things like your adrenaline potions. Adrenaline potions are so important. If you're going to be doing a DPS rotation, you want to use this straight after you use your ultimate ability to get back your adrenaline as fast as possible. These make a world of difference. Using things like a super prayer renewal. Maybe you have this combined in the other potion here. I'm too lazy to do it. Maybe you have them combined, but having access to a super prayer renewal just means that your prayer doesn't drop as much, gives you more time to focus on your abilities and the actual fight than constantly watching your prayer. Making sure you have things like weapon poison. If the boss is poisonable, make sure you bring some weapon poison or apply it before you go into the fight, because this does actually last for 12 minutes, which you can apply from the bank, by the way, in case you didn't know. Using things like incense sticks that you saw just there to boost the effect of potions or weapon poisons and other things as well, super important too. Making sure you can take advantage of anything, for example, a power burst of vitality. If there's something that's going to hit you for a lot of damage, you could take this with you and you can use this to temporarily double your health, and then when that hits you, you actually only take half of the damage once it resets. It's a lot easier. You can tank some more stuff, makes it a lot less like dangerous. There's many things you can do before you enter a fight to make your life way easier. If you look at some of my presets here, you'll see all these different things. I have vulnerability bombs on all of them. You have like the enhanced Excalibur, which gives you healing over time. There's all the different rune pouches and stuff. I'm not saying you're going to need to have all of these unlocked and ready to go straight away. Depending on which boss you're doing, you're going to have different things. But there's some things that stay with you every single time, vulnerability bombs being one of them, and adrenaline potions that you want to take advantage of. So make sure you set up your presets correctly. If you look up a guide for the boss that you're taking on, they will always have some sort of inventory setup. And if you're missing too many things for that, if you're missing a ton of stuff, then maybe try getting them unlocked. But also keep in mind, like a lot of the stuff, again, you can just buy straight from the Grand Exchange and it will make a world of difference. But going in a boss fight with just one potion and all the food, yeah, you have more food, but trust me, the stuff that you're missing out on here will make way more difference than having 3 more fish in your inventory. Bringing adrenaline potion will probably replace like half of these, even the majority of these, because you killed the boss quicker. So make sure you set up your preset correctly. This is like the biggest thing that comes up whenever I do like a coaching video. Someone sends me a clip, asks me to take a look at like what they can improve on, and just changing a few things in their inventory, it makes a world of difference. It really does. And they come back like, I've already knocked 3 minutes off my timer and I didn't die. And it's like, yep, this bit right here, very important. Always be prepared before you go into the fight in terms of your inventory and your worn equipment. And then finally, one of the most important things in my opinion is actually going ahead and getting yourself off of full revolution. If you're a player that is using revolution to press every single ability, which a lot of people are and don't, it's fine, it's all good, a lot of people do. If you have it like set up so it's like this and you have the whole of your action bar automatically doing it, and maybe you have like your ultimates at the front and then thresholds afterwards, changing from doing this to not full manual, but just having it set up so that it doesn't press all of your abilities. Maybe you have it set down to like, I don't know, like 5 or something, and then you would have all your basic abilities in here, and then this leaves you to focus on your threshold abilities and your ultimate abilities. This is better because it gives you much more control over your character. Lets you choose when to actually use these threshold abilities, where to spend your adrenaline, when you want to use your ultimates. Because if you're building up to a sunshine, but you're using thresholds on the way up, you're going to instantly lose adrenaline, which is going to slow down your progress to getting your ultimate off, when really you want to use basics until you get to that point of using your ultimate, and then you can drop all your thresholds afterwards, after you've used an adrenaline potion, which we talked about before, right? Because this is going to be the best way for you to get out as much damage as possible. There's going to be some abilities that you're going to want to just press yourself, and this will make a huge difference compared to if you just do everything with revolution. You don't want to necessarily just sit there, click the boss and watch, and hopefully it works. Is my revolution bar good enough to kill this boss? Ideally, one of the biggest things you will be able to do for yourself is going to be getting yourself off of the actual revolution setting. Now, again, people still use at high-end PVM, like super high-end level PVM, the basics on Revolution, and this is absolutely fine. You can do that, not a problem whatsoever. But getting used to pressing some keybinds so that you can use your thresholds and your defensives is going to be absolutely huge. So try and do this, even if you just start with just your ultimate and maybe a couple of defensive abilities, and then you move down to adding 1 threshold, 2 thresholds, mixing it up. But you should only really need to use like, I don't know, 5 keybinds, 6 keybinds maybe, when you start transitioning over to this, and it will make a world of difference. You'll notice a huge difference, especially when you have to deal with very specific mechanics. So definitely give this a go. Leave your basics on the revolution bit, and just get in the habit of pressing your thresholds yourself. This just means that, yes, you've got a little bit more attention on the inputs and stuff, but it's not going to overwhelm you so much that you're just dying everywhere and not dealing with mechanics properly. And eventually you'll be able to take the whole thing off if you wanted to, but you don't have to. People, like I say, people really good PVMers, they're better than me, have theirs on basic still, and then they'll go ahead and press all the other stuff themselves. So it's definitely a skill that is worth learning 100%. And those are what I would say are probably some of the most important, like, basic skills for beginner PVMers getting into PVM that you should focus on learning. Your defense abilities, your actual being ready for a boss, and knowing whether you're like taking a step too far in the boss progression ladder, and making sure you have your inventory and stuff set up first is so damn important. Making sure you're using the right aura in the right place too, of course, is very valuable and was worth mentioning. So hopefully you guys found this useful. If you did, please do leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Have a good one, guys. Bye.